Hi, I'm Jalen Rose, and welcome to the Renaissance Man podcast, proudly presented by the New York Post, a show where we cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events, and everything in between. My next guest is a legendary actor, rapper, and producer who's known for so many classic roles, but I'll just tell you a couple, like Love and Basketball and Juice, as well as TV dramas like House and Power Book 3, Raising Kanan. His first young adult sci-fi novel is called Nubia, The Awakening, and it tells the story of three teens living in a futuristic New York City after a storm destroyed their African homeland. It is available right now wherever books are sold. It is my honor to welcome my brother, the talented Omar Epps, to the Renaissance Man. What up, my brother?
What up, man? Peace to you. I just want to start off by shouting you out. I'm privy to the things that you do in Detroit for these kids, and I just want to salute you for that. It's amazing, and keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing, brother.
Thanks a lot. I'm inspired by you as well, my brother. I appreciate the love, and I wanted to ask you, how did growing up in Brooklyn shape you and the trajectory of your life?
Brooklyn is everything to me. I grew up in a rough environment, but I had a lot of good people around me, not just family members, but friends. My old heads, as we like to call them, they always looked out. They always wanted the best for us. And so I was very young when I started in this business. I did Juice when I was 17 years old. So early on, they saw that I had something different. And so they kept me out the streets, they like, nah, you ain't coming over here. Like, go do that other thing. You good at that. You know what I mean? And that combined with, my mother's influence in terms of, she gave me a sense of value early on, a sense of worthiness early on. So, like for me, I'm not knocking nobody because everybody has different circumstances. But in my particular case, like, selling drugs or something like that was whack because it was easy. That's what everybody doing,
Right.
and I understood the domino effect of how that could ripple through the community. So I always had a sense of responsibility to the community as well. And by the blessings, I was able to get on my purpose early.
And your purpose has entertained us for decades now. When did you know you wanted to be in entertainment?
I never, that's a great question. I never thought about it in that way. It was just like, my grandmother was an artist. My grandfather was an artist. Like, my thing actually came from writing. Like, I used to write poetry and short stories and things of that nature. Obviously I used to rap. And, so it was constantly trying to figure that out. And then acting became an extension of that expression. Because I found out it was just, it's about expression, right? And I was able to have still having a good run at that, but it was like, okay, I need to write the words, and that because I have things that I want to say and put out there into the world for these young people, the same way that people came before me did for me. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the James Baldwins or the Maya Angelou's or the Langston Hughes, like, these things inspired me. When I saw Sidney Poitier when I was a kid, the elegance, the grace, the power, I wanted to emulate that. So hopefully I'm laying a trail of breadcrumbs for the younger ones that come after me, after us, that they can latch onto and be inspired by.
You just named some iconic human beings, which now lends me to ask you the question, because you named 3 or 4 of them. Who are your favorite 5 as it relates to poetry of all time?
Oh, wow. That's a Well, that's a great question, and that's a long list because for me, we can go from Plato and Socrates to Rumi. Like it's a long list of it's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm a seeker of information. But I think that everyone as an individual has poetry within them. It just comes out in different forms, and that's why I talk to these young kids about, like, find your purpose, and then sink into it and dedicate your life to that. Like, and a lot of people ask me, like, oh, did you ever think you'd be here? And I'm like, yeah, because
no doubt.
You know
no
what I'm
doubt.
saying? I dedicated my life to
Yes.
this. Like, and you have to see it. I saw this when I was a 10-year-old kid. Pretty much like you, the things that you've accomplished in your career, as an athlete. Come on, dog. You in the gym. You really doing that.
No doubt.
You can't, and that's what I stress to the kids the most is you can't fake the work.
Can't.
You can, once you believe, once you this, and if you have a somewhat of a good support system, that's all great. But then it's up to you to actually do the work. So when everybody sleep, I'm up working on my craft, whatever that thing is. You see what I'm saying?
And also being a multi-hyphen, like in entertainment and or in life, we're not allowed to just be one thing. Remember, we were young and they would say, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Now that's 100 things.
Right.
It's not just one. And you have to also spread your wings like you've done. You've done it in acting, in poetry. But I have to ask you, you're from Brooklyn. New York is the birthplace of hip hop. Yep. Tell me about when you fell in love with rap and when you wanted to rhyme.
Oh, man. Well, I fell in love with rap. Really, honest. I mean, it was everywhere, but it's because of my aunts, my Aunt Jean and my Aunt Sarah. When they used to babysit me, and they, it's when we had the LPs. So that's like the big record, and they be playing Sugar Hill Gang and all of that stuff, not babysitting me, and I'll be listening to these records. Like, yo, I like that groove right there.
Oh,
like,
yeah, the Capone set with the 33s.
You know what I'm talking about. And then it's like, so it just went from there. And because back then it wasn't readily available. They only played it on the radio at a certain time, which was real late, and I was a kid, but it was everywhere in terms of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Dudes was breakdancing in the street, or dudes would be rhyming on the corner and, having battles and stuff like that. So I just took to it because the essence of it was Black and brown culture and just culture, period. And it was also the things that were being spoken about. Like when I came up, you had Big Daddy Kane, you had Rakim, you had KRS-One, you had LL Cool J, you had Public Enemy, you had like all of these, and the things that they were saying were as profound as watching Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Yes.
But we get to ride around with this.
Yes.
That's the difference. You watch Do the Right Thing that one time and then you saw it and it stuck with you. But now you listen to this all day, like, burn Hollywood, burn. You like, what does that mean?
Yes. I like Nike, but wait a minute. It's like, hold on. All right, Uncle Chuck, I'm listening.
Yeah. So it's those type of, it would give you a feeling, not of rebellion. It would give you a feeling of belonging and questioning certain things, the system that we're in and that we're living in day by day, because all these other things are going on. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, not getting off topic, I'm staying on topic. A lot of people look at what's been going on in the last few years with police officers killing unarmed Black people and things of that nature. And I'm like, man, that been going on. I can name a whole bunch of people to you that you probably don't even know. You know what I mean? That they've been doing that. So that's where hip hop comes in, because that's where the journalistic component comes in, because they reporting on the truth. This is really happening. If we don't say it, there wasn't no social media, none of that back then.
Well, in the message, Melly Mel rap about that in that song.
Exactly. Broken Glass. everywhere. Like you start like that. And that's like you walk outside and yeah, it is broken glass everywhere. Like, you know?
Yeah, what about the first role you recall doing that you were like, this acting thing, I could be something special at it?
Well, all right. So this is a funny story. So when I was in junior high school, they had we were doing the, we kids in junior high school. They were doing a play. We were doing Grease, and it's not really auditions because everybody's kids, so it's kind of like a popularity contest or whatever. Who's cooler with this teacher, whatever. So I went up for the lead role, of course, and I didn't get it, and I was mad. And this one kid got it, and I was like, but he can't act. And so it just stuck with me because now the thing about me, Jay, is I'm different because I'm competitive.
No doubt.
By nature.
No doubt.
I'm like, so that bothered me the rest of junior high school.
No doubt.
I'm like, oh, nah, they're gonna see. They're gonna see. And so then once I got into shout out to LAG, I went to Performing Arts High School and really got like real training and I found I just felt that my form of expression, my purpose was to be an actor, but like I said, I always did the work, and I started out so early that it was like I had the cheat code because a lot of times people say something, they say they doing the work, but they really not in the gym like that. And I live, breathe. That's why I could relate to the Mamba mentality and all of these things. I could relate to that because that's me. You know what I mean? It's almost like you a psychopath, but
that's what it takes.
That's what it takes. And so when I started off so early, and then obviously getting the blessings from above to have my first opportunity to do Juice and then dance with Tupac in my first movie, because he was all the way on the other coast doing the same thing in the gym. You know what I mean? And putting in that work. So when we got together, we was just we was all over the place with it, like, oh man. And then it goes on to become the classic that it is.
I gotta ask you about Shooting Juice. So you're a teenager, Samuel L. Jackson, Queen Latifah, Tupac, all in this movie, which is an all-time classic.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was it like when you received the news that you were gonna get the role, and what was it like working with Tupac?
Man, I'll never forget that day, because that day changed my life and also cemented the belief that I'd had in myself. So I'm at the crib, again, it's before cell phones. So, I went through the audition process, all of that. And I'm at the crib, just dolo, and the phone rings, and it's Ernest Dickinson, who wrote and directed Juice. He said, hey man, how you doing? And you got to keep in mind, I'm so young that I'm naive to the actual process of Hollywood. I'm just, when you that young, you just thinking it's going to happen because I want it to happen.
Correct.
So I don't have any feelings of pressure or anxiety. Am I going to get, I don't really care at that point. I'm like, yo, it's going to be what it is. And he says, hey man, yeah, man, I got some really good news, man. And I said, yeah, what? He said, you got the role. And I was like, what? Yeah. And he's like, yeah, man, you got the role. And I said, hey man, thank you, man. That's great, man. I didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
All I was thinking was, I'm gonna call Mom Dukes. Like, yo, Ma, I got the role. And she's like, I wanted you to go to college and be a lawyer. What role are you talking about and all this? And the process of filming with Pac was amazing, man. He was an incredible brother, truly, truly an incredible brother. And, at the time, he was writing his first album. So he hadn't put out any music yet, but he was like, with Digital Underground at that point, but you had to really be a hip hop head to even know that. Like you might have saw him in the back of one of their videos or something like that.
Around when I hang around with the underground.
Yeah, So, but he was writing his first album, and that was an incredible experience for me because, this guy was literally doing that every day. We memorizing lines, we running lines together, and then he's sitting there, yo, listen to this. And he's spitting raps to me but I didn't know he was recording his first album. I just thought he was spitting a rap to me.
Right.
So I'm like, you know, some of them I was like, yo, that's dope. And then some of them was like, yeah. He was like, nah. And then, you know, after the movie comes out, then we because my story is strange. So you just mentioned Latifah. So at the time, I was in a singing group called Vision, and I was able to get two of them extra roles, like background roles on a set of Juice, and we was a 5-man group. So Latifah had this group. I remember their name too. No disrespect to them, but they was called Simple Pleasure, and she had just did a demo for them. So she kept playing the demo in her trailer. So I'll be walking by the trailer, and I'm again the competitiveness. So who am I to Queen Latifah? Shout out to you, sis. I love you.
No doubt.
And I'm like, I'm walking by, I'm like, yo, my group has smoked them. Like, you made a demo on them? And she's like, what? Like, who's this kid? And I was like, yo, trust me. So she was like, all right, well, tell them to come up here the next day. So I already had 2 on set. And I called the other 2, like, yo, y'all got to come up tomorrow. And we was filming up in Harlem. And this is a literal story. I wonder if La remembers this. She done been through so much in life and so many experiences. But right before the scene in Juice, where Q is in the when he's asking the manager to, yo, let me scratch at this, you know, contest. It was right before we filmed that. And so we were in the staircase, and everybody made it up there, and we sung for her a cappella. And she started crying. Tears. She was like, yo, y'all gotta let me work with y'all. Me and Shaquan, we got a company that's a partner. Shout out to Shaq. Like, she's like, yo, y'all gotta let me work. So I'm saying all that to say, the next thing you know, after we wrap Juice, she's like, yo, I'm about to go on tour with Ziggy Marley and them. And I want y'all to sing background and can y'all dance?
Wow.
So it was crazy. So I filmed Juice. I end up on tour with Queen Latifah before the movie comes out.
Dope.
And then the movie comes out. You can't even make it up, man.
And also, somebody who wrote that movie must have loved you, because you got to have a love interest with Dawn from En Vogue.
Oh, with Cindy, man. Now, let me tell you something, man. I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. That was surreal, man.
No doubt.
That was surreal. Because you got to remember, I'm 17 years old.
No doubt.
So
somebody loves you.
Yo, I got posters of En Vogue on my wall.
No doubt.
Whitney Houston, like everybody. And the next thing you know, a couple months later, they like, oh yeah, you got to kiss her. And I'm like, what? I don't even know how to kiss. Like, what you know? But shout out to her, man. She was gracious, and we had a great time, and really tried to explore those dynamics, because it's some real stuff. You know what I mean? In terms of older woman, younger man in the hood, like this stuff go on. And I thought that was brave of Ernest Dickinson.
It was so dope.
It was brave of him to even broach that at that time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, you've been in so many classics. You got a book coming out. You're in multiple television shows. But I have to ask you something about higher learning. Yeah. So I played with Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, and he has a documentary coming out in 2023 on Showtime, and it talks about him taking his stance during the national anthem. And then years later, Colin Kaepernick took a knee before football games in the NFL. Did that remind you of what Fudge asked you in that movie about what would you do if the national anthem was being played? Because that's what it always reminded me of.
Yo, that's a super, super great question. It actually did, because, you know, obviously salute and rest in peace to John Singleton. But this brother was just on another wavelength of energy, and he was so acutely aware of the power of imagery, the power of the words that the characters are saying. So everything was so intentional, you know. And, you know, I was still young at the time. I was like early 20s. So some of it would go over my head. Like, I would have to go chill with him at the crib. Like, yo, what does this scene mean? Why is he this, that, and the other? And he's like, yo, and then he would break it down, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So, higher learning is one of those ones, man. It's beautifully sad, if that makes sense. And I say that to say, because it's a beautiful piece, but it's sad that like some of these same things are still going on. Now you go back to higher learning, Jake. Now, you know what the element nobody thinks about? School shooting.
Oh, yes, Remy.
People don't think about that.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And now this stuff is hopefully not becoming normalized, but I'm saying it's like, it's just a
great point.
And they talking about that back then, talking about LGBT rights and things of that nature, all the way back then.
Yes.
You know? But on the surface, it just looks like, oh, the crew of the black kids against the crew of the white kids. But it was so much deeper than that, man. And that's why I say beautifully sad.
Absolutely. And also, again, so many classics. I could go on and on. And by the way, I just got to tell y'all, let me make sure I get the name of this book again. Nubia, The Awakening. Make sure you grab that right now. It's available wherever books are sold. I have to also ask you, because in the book, I noticed it hits so many themes like climate change, class conflict, and race. And as we had the higher learning conversation, this all makes sense, how you've come full circle as an adult. And so I have to ask, when did you become interested in looking at the future and alternate realities through a Black cultural lens?
Wow, that's another great question, man. Hey, you good at this.
Thank you, family.
For me, I'm a creative, right? So I never think about a genre or a label, or I just follow the idea. And Nubia the Awakening, the origin idea that I had was, one day I was, we live in a tumultuous world and things of that nature. And so one day I was like, what if love itself was illegal? And I just sat with that for weeks. Like, and then what if love was reborn through a 14-year-old kid who's an awkward teenager who doesn't know that he himself is love? And then I started unraveling that and like I said, going down a rabbit hole. And so I never thought about it actively, like I want to write a young adult sci-fi thing. I just followed the story. And I thought that putting it in the future, but keeping some of the themes of now that was the challenge, right? Because as they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? So it was just like, okay, so, when you talk about climate change, what does the geography of the world look like? Literally. It doesn't look like how it looks now. Who's the superpowers that are the country superpowers that are now are no more. It's a whole different set of things. And so then when I concentrated on this group of kids who are displaced because their homeland was destroyed, and there's 3 teenagers who are trying to figure it out. So, but then gifts start to sprout upon them in their adolescence from their ancestors that they were never privy to, because their parents thought these gifts died with the land that died. So it's really about like, so what are these kids gonna do with this? And it's just been I'm just so grateful, man. I'm shouting out my co-pilot. I call him my co-pilot, my co-writer, Clarence A. Haynes. I went to school, man. He taught me so much. I've never done this before, but what I have done is tell stories, and I know how to tell stories, and I'm telling a story with purpose. Like I always tell people, like, I'm not trying to sell you a book. This is necessary. This is a necessary story, because like I know, so when you do read, you're learning and things like that, but you can escape.
Exactly.
Just for an hour, 2 hours, you can escape. You can go. I remember being a kid reading Super Fudge by Judy Blume, and it would just take me somewhere for an hour. And then I come back to my life and they give me a little bit more oomph, and like, no, I can get through this day. But I keep, dreaming about this. And I'm like, that's what I want to give these kids, you know,
Mm-hmm.
an escape. But what grandma, what Big Mama do. She gonna put a little castor oil in the candy.
No doubt.
You know
No
what I'm
doubt.
saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And,
man.
and I want to again thank you for being such an inspiration to future generations.
Thank you, man.
And you know the term that we don't like to hear as it relates to reading. If you want to hide something from a brother, put it in the book. And thank you for breaking stereotypes and being an intellect and taking the time to be on Renaissance, man. But before you get out of here, Omar Epps, I got a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
Let's go. Let's get it.
You just talked about one of your co-pilots professionally. How about you and your lovely wife, Keisha, have been married for 15 years and worked on several projects together? What relationship advice has stayed with you all of those years?
Man, I mean, the number one thing is communication. Be as honest as you can, I guess. But the thing that our little secret sauce is, we took breaking up off the table. And what that did for me personally, I can't speak for her, but what that did for me was it changed the way that we had conflict.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like when you always know, like, you know what, I'm out.
Yes.
You don't really care about how you communicate, how you argue.
Correct.
But when it's like, that's off the table, now it's like, you start to, this is my partner. I love this woman. I have children with this one. Make sure y'all about our family. It's my friend. I don't want to say this to her in that way. So what's really the conflict? What's really the problem? And then the arguments just, we human. We still bump heads from time to time.
Of course.
But we do it in such a respectful way, because we know, that's the other thing, is like, don't go to bed angry.
Love that.
Or try not to, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Name one actor you haven't worked with that you love to.
Denzel Washington, hands down.
Oh, wow. You haven't.
Period.
Now that I think about it, we need this to happen.
I keep putting it out in the universe. Me and Denzel got a shape, man. I wanna work with that brother. I want to work with Wesley Snipes. I want to work with Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, there's a long list, but Denzel is at the top of that list.
Well, we need to make that happen. When I see Uncle D, I'm gonna make sure I bring that up to him. How about this? I am gonna tell him, you've always been someone that's about your fashion too. I see that fly blazer you rocking right now.
Thank you.
Tell me, as you look in the mirror, one of the flyest outfits you recall wearing in public.
Wow, that's a unique question. I was in public, but it wasn't in like on camera or whatever. It was just a night me and wifey went out, man. And I just went there that day. I had some Gucci riding boots. It was like a wild outfit. Like, I just felt like, you know what? I'm gonna really go there tonight. When I take her out to dinner, I came out there looking like a jockey. Looking at me like the hat and the whole thing, like. And she was like, "Word, that's how you feeling?" I'm like, "Yeah, you want to make another baby tonight?"
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's classic. How about this? Speaking of making babies, can you name as many of your love interests as possible that you've done movies with?
That I've done movies with. So we already mentioned Cindy. You got Cindy Heron. You got Halle Berry. Of course, you got Sanaa Lathan, you got Neil Long, Gabrielle Union. These are all my homegirls, by the way.
No doubt. Queens, love them all. No doubt. Classy.
There's been a few more. I guess you could say Patina Miller, and it's, well, not really. Not really. Those are the names that come to mind first. Let me put it that way.
Legends.
Glenn Close. You can say that now.
Close.
Yeah,
Glenn
man.
Close.
Got a movie coming out with her. Shout out to Lee Daniels. It's called A Deliverance. That'll be out next year. So I can add that to the list now.
No, hold on. You breaking news. Omar Epps got a 2023 project. Can you rewind that and tell the world what it is, please, sir?
Yeah, it's called The Deliverance. Lee Daniels wrote and directed it, and it stars Glenn Close and Audra Day, and it's a piece. It for the people who love Get Out, they're gonna love this movie because it's different. It's different. So yeah, I'm excited about that as well. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure myself, because I'm gonna order it and read it. And like the rest of my followers, make sure y'all check out Nubia, The Awakening right now. Omar Epps, I appreciate the love, my brother. Stay healthy and continue success.
Yo, my brother, I appreciate your time. And again, I salute you. I'm proud of you. I'm a fan watching like everybody else and you doing your thing, but I really want people to know that, you know, like you really do some real things in the community that you come from. And that's so special. And that's what we need. You know what I mean? So
yes, sir.
Aside from the day jobs and all of that, I know that's your real passion. And I salute you. I salute you, brother.
Love and blessings. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
No doubt.